Hello, and welcome to Building Conversations. I'm your host, Greg Dunkel, Chief Operating Officer here at STO Building Group. Today, we're taking a closer look at the Superintendent Roundtable, an initiative designed to provide our field leaders with a dedicated space to connect, share experiences, and learn from one another, and really supercharge the company. Allow me to share a little history. In early 2022, the Safety Council was meeting at our office in Stamford, Connecticut. The Safety Council was created to focus a singular focus on safety and include site teams at each of our leadership meetings. It was then that it occurred to me that we have an incredible group at the core of our teams that has a wealth of experience and would benefit from a think tank of their own. In the next 6 months, the SRT tapped into an incredible group of very passionate superintendents, and what they have created is nothing less than amazing. I'm proud of this team and excited to spend some time today with one of our founders, Ernie Tassine, General Superintendent at Structure Tone Philadelphia, Brian Burnoff, Construction Manager at Abbott Construction, and currently our leader of the SRT, and Matthew Persico, Superintendent at Structure Tone New York. So now let's jump in, get to know our panelists today. So starting with Ernie, can you briefly share a little bit of your path to becoming a super and what motivates you about the work? We certainly know passion is something that you bring to everything you do.
Thanks, Greg. My career began even before I was born. My grandfather came over in early 1900s, I believe it was 1910. He was a mason. My father followed suit. He became a carpenter. And really, I get up every morning for the everyday challenges of what the construction business, hands to you. So,
yeah, and you do it. You certainly do it every day, Mondays through Sunday, and then back to Monday. Brian, how'd you find this career, and what keeps you moving every morning?
So a little bit like Ernie too. I'm a third generation carpenter, so I came up through the trades, went into trade school right after high school, put bags on and started doing tilts at 20 years old. With my uncle had a GC firm, so we started doing a lot of tilt ups. And when that closed down, built a lot of houses. So I've been exposed to pretty much everything in the trade. And I think it's the challenges. I think it's now in my career, it seems like the last 15 years, every job, a lot like Ernie, like when they say, hey, this can't be done, or this is an impossible job, those are the ones that I jump in on and make it happen, right? So the challenges of not only building, but building teams is what really drives me today passionately.
That's fantastic. And Matthew, how'd you get to join us and found your career?
So kind of similar. A lot of my family is in construction and GC work. So originally I was in hardware engineering. My family kept telling me, hey, I think you would really like being in construction. So eventually I wanted to pivot, applied to Structure Tone, got in, and it's kind of just been history ever since then. I love coming in on a day-to-day basis and learning something new every single day, learning from your teammates, from your coworkers, the foreman on the job site. Those challenges, like Brian and Ernie are saying, just the wealth of knowledge that you're basically gaining on a day-to-day basis. And then at the end of the day, weaving in, seeing that you've actually done something to contribute to the process of buildings, and especially building here in New York City. It's a very good feeling each and every day.
Yeah, great stories there from Matthew, Ernie, and Brian. Excited to be with you today. Another carpenter here with you. Ernie, tell us a little bit about the Superintendent Roundtable. How does it bring value, and how does it bring our supers together in the STOBG world?
So in 2022, I was approached by our leadership here in Philadelphia about joining the Superintendent Roundtable. They bounced the idea off of me and said, hey, this is what we're looking to start. We want you to represent the Philadelphia office. I immediately said yes. And then they said, oh, by the way, you're going to chair the group. So
I might add something to do with that.
So I immediately went into action and organized, did what I had to do to organize the group. and jot down some ideas that I had just from experience. So, but the roundtable is a group of superintendents and representatives from all of the STOBG family of companies. It's mostly made up at this point of career superintendents that meet 4 times a year. Their purpose is to discuss the challenges facing today's superintendents and share ideas, about those everyday challenges. So we've been given a great opportunity here to, share best practices and inform leadership of what's working and not working. And that's really what it, boils down to.
Great. Brian, seeing as how our founder picked you to continue on with the SRT and Vinny, where do you see value? I know each of your groups have really added, the next generation's added a lot of value to this team. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it goes back to even that original meet and greet we had, Ernie, back in New York. It always amazes me when you put a whole bunch of superintendents together for the very first time. There's a lot of feathers up, a lot of sizing up, for that. We're superintendents.
Yeah, you are.
And the great thing about the superintendent, that goes away in the first 5 or 10 minutes. We realize we're not islands upon ourselves, and we're sharing those ideas right away. We just got back from Toronto. It was a great session in Toronto, and really it's almost after 1 or 2 years of really, putting the grease on the wheel, right, Ernie? It seems like the roundtable's really found its voice on, hey, this is the direction we want to go. These are the things that we can make our industry better, our projects better, and our people better. And that's always been our vision for this. It's a really high level vision. We're not solving the problems of every little business unit in their region, but we're really leaning into feedback and making sure that these superintendents don't feel that they're an island upon themselves. Sometimes we'll drop them out in the middle of nowhere and they don't get these opportunities. So just keeping that message going that they are supported and there's a lot of resources out for them is really instrumental for the SRT.
Yeah, that's
I think. Sorry, Greg. I think the chemistry is unmatched, though. We've had people move in and out for different reasons, and each person who's come in seamlessly is replaced that person that preceded them. So it's really a credit to the organization that you can interchange the chess pieces at any given point in time.
Yeah, that camaraderie that you all have developed in the culture of the SRT it's pretty amazing when I get to visit with you like we did in Toronto and just see the open dialogue. And I'll just add real quick, the voice that's been given to the superintendents through the roundtable, how it's respected throughout the organization. And then, what gives you also the ears to take back to all the superintendents back in the entire company is pretty miraculous. So kudos to you guys for getting this kicked off. So let's switch gears with another question real quick. And Ernie, I'll start with you one more time. What are the biggest challenges that you're seeing with superintendents today, and how's it evolved? What is facing the builders out there?
I think one of the biggest challenges is, sharing of information. Generally what we're seeing right now are bad documents from design teams, albeit the reason, whatever it is, not enough time, poor decision-making up front. But I think that's probably our biggest challenge. And then, if you drill that down to what a super does every day in terms of their responsibilities, now there's more time on the computer, albeit organizing these drawings that are constantly getting revised, RFIs, material deliveries, long lead procurement, submittals, daily reports, schedule, safety they're responsible for, coordination of all the trades. The bad documents just make it worse.
Yeah, and I think the design group or design industry, they really have been pushed to their limits as well. And we're seeing that with a lot of times the designs are getting finished in submittals as well. Brian, what do you think is facing the supers now?
I think it's really the stresses of the speed in which everybody wants us to build nowadays, and we'll get into that a little bit later on. But when we're committing to dates that sometimes are unrealistic, but that's what the client wants. It's a really dog eat dog world out there right now. The industry has really changed. And I think just making sure our people are okay, and even those sub trades. I'm on a job right now, and this thing's going 24/7, 7 days a week, right? And so we're committed to that, but my concern is like, when is that going to slow down? You get a young guy like Matt, me and Ernie, we're kind of seeing on the horizon a little bit. Ernie's probably a little bit more long in the tooth than I am, but we're looking at the horizon. But I'm concerned about these young guys, and I think that's the thing. Biggest challenge is like, you throw all this tech at them, can they still get out there and be the general out in the field, or are they sitting behind the desk because there's so much tech? So we're heading in that direction. We're a data-driven industry anymore. However, we still got to get out of the seat and make sure that quality and safety is good. And then making sure we take time for ourselves, because we got to be positive out there. We talked about that earlier. I don't want guys to lose the passion of this thing by just being put in the meat grinder time and time again. So that's the challenge. It's not just particularly the one job, it's the next job and the next job. Is that grind gonna slow down, or is it gonna get worse? Especially when you're talking to young guys like Matt.
A great point, Brian. I think we do got to take a minute and appreciate what everyone is doing Saturdays, Sundays, weekends, and what we're asking of our people. Matt, what do you respond, and as you see, what are your challenges, knowing that Ernie and Brian are looking out from you from a little different generation?
Well, those points that you guys both brought up, they certainly ring true. I think one of the most difficult things in the field right now is to actually manage and to integrate both the technological aspects of the job, the daily journals, the RFIs, the submittals, and like you guys are saying, they roll in constantly, and they roll in fast. And it's trying to do that in concert with getting out in the field and checking to make sure everything is getting done, and checking to make sure that everyone's being safety 360 conscious. So I think that is by far the most difficult aspect of the job, and trying to actually stay on top of the RFIs, the submittals, all the documentation that's coming in, to make sure it's actually coming in from the design team and then going out to the trades as quickly as it's coming in, to meet those deadlines and the dates that you're trying to hit for building.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we try to prepare ourselves for these challenges, certainly training and the support that you get from a company and from those you work with. Maybe Brian, you can kick us off on what are some of what kind of training and support have you been part of that impacted your career and impacted those that you work with?
I think the biggest overarching lesson I think I learned a long time ago was, I had a superintendent tell me that's not what we build, but it's how we build. And so as a superintendent, it's a skill, and we can teach it. Sometimes it's an X factor, but not letting the tail wag the dog, making sure that the architect, you truly are the leader on the job, and you're responsible for all these guys. Setting that culture early. There's nothing worse than, letting a job go bad, or letting it kind of drag on. And then now you're like, okay, we got to get the team together and rally. We should have rallied day one. So I learned that a long time ago, setting the culture of that job. Like, this is how we're going to operate, and breathing in that humanity in what we do. It's just not check boxes, right? So some of those things I learned really on, and I've, fortunately, in my career, I've been able to refine a lot of those things and put those things into practice. Some guys buy into it, some guys don't. And what I see is, every job that we breathe some kind of culture into that job early on, day one, we get it done on time, we have high quality, and we make money. It's a proven formula over and over again. And we share that into our academy. So those are some of the things. It gets back to, it's not what we build, it's how we build. It's not just the sticks and bricks, right? And
Yeah,
so those are the things that I just breathe that every day.
Yeah, keeping everybody safe and rolling all that into a safe job. Ernie, you were one of the original professors of the SRT Academy. Maybe you can comment a little bit on the inspiration for that and how it was developed.
Yeah, so when this all started, and particularly we started talking about training being one of the priorities, I look back on my career, and said to myself, what made the biggest impact on me? And of course, it was the individuals, right? And that came by way of mentorship because, back in the day, we had no formal training for superintendents. It was, baptism by fire, basically. That senior leadership at the time made the biggest impact on me, starting with my father at a very young age, of course. And then just working my way up through. And there was many people along the way that, helped me be who I am today, to their credit. I can name all 6, but I'm not going to tie us up with all that. I think the training, though, is going to be a game changer for the organization. What we have in place with the Superintendent's Academy, in my opinion, is unmatched. We've brought the best minds together, put a curriculum together, and it's a proven success. The feedback is just incredible from whoever has attended the academy so far.
Wow, that's a great segue to Matt. I mean, Matt, you've been part of it. You've seen it. This is a group that's taught by only superintendents and employees of the company, which is pretty special. Maybe you can give us a little feedback on your thoughts on what you've learned in your career and how the academy helped you.
Yeah, having the academy was definitely a great experience. I still took notes, just like I remember when we were in the academy and Vinny showing his little journal, of how specified his note taking is. Things like that still, got my notebook right here, and I'm trying to essentially ring true to what Benny does, and it definitely helped. And Brian, I also took like little tidbits of information that you guys were giving us in terms of like safety and being collaborative with the whole team and the trades that are essentially your partners in this. They're not guys that work for you, right? So those are things that still definitely, to me, they ring true, and they have a place when I'm going into the work onto the project site every day. And then additionally, I think, like you were saying, Ernie, having that mentorship, I was fortunate enough on the last job that I was at for about 2 years to have a mentor that was fantastic, who would go into the whiteboard, drawing system dynamics, the air dynamics, water flow, HVAC systems, and every single day was such a great learning experience. So having that mentorship and people that are in the field that are seasoned professionals give you and then like bestow that information so that you can take it with you is such a huge deal. I think that's paramount in this industry, trying to learn from people that have been doing it for 30, 40 years and know the ropes.
Yeah. So when you were part of the academy, it's a pretty interesting dynamic when you're brought into a room with superintendents from all over the country and sometimes the world, and Canada and Hawaii and over in Ireland and in London. What did you take from that experience when all of a sudden you had a room full of peers, and what connections did you make from that experience?
So one of the things that I learned was that building in New York is not like building everywhere else, right? There's so many different kinds of buildings that are being erected and so many different kinds of projects. I was talking to, I believe, one of the superintendents from Structure Tone Southwest, and he said that he was building a data center, and that's very, very far. It's very different of a building process than what we're doing in the city, or at least the projects that I'm on. So I think the kinds of projects, the kinds of tools that the different supers use throughout the country and internationally, that kind of jumped out to me. I think, and that there's very different types of building styles as well. So I think I have like a kind of singular focus out here, but I think there's just trying to gain that information and that insight from other supers and guys throughout the country. There's different techniques and different tools that you can use. So
yeah, better appreciation just how different an industry that scales can be, when you're just looking at it from your perspective, it definitely is a lot broader. And maybe Ernie, do you want to give us a little insight? I mean, you've seen a ton of different construction, ton of different, let's say, regional based construction. What has SRT and your group really allowed you to gain a different perspective?
I think probably the big thing is how some companies, technology wise, are using different tools. With us being, tenant fit outs, primarily interiors, looking at, for example, CHOP and the technology that they've used to lay out walls and things like that. And, we're not doing that yet. But I hope we will soon. But it was, truly amazing to see what technology they're implementing down there. And, for me, I'm no stranger to the core and shell world. So logistically working in major cities, I've been doing it all of my career. So there's no surprise there. But I think technology is probably the biggest thing right now and what I'm seeing in the industry.
Yeah, it's great to be able to share what's coming up next and what works, what doesn't work. And we are certainly a company that pushes on technology to see what can really help the next team perform better. Brian, what were your thoughts on, you got a chance to really meet a very different group of individuals through all of this, either the academy or even the SRT?
Yeah, a little bit like what Matt was saying. It always amazes me when we're doing the academy and we get guys from all the different sectors: interior fit outs, industrial, data centers, medical, and then the shell core guys. And, we're probably about half interior fit out guys. I think a lot of it's our bread and butter. It looks like we lost Matt. Um, it getting that feedback from those guys, even in the academy, on how they build and how they approach their problems and how they approach their subs is really instrumental. You watch these guys in the after hour get-togethers and they're still talking shop. I mean, there's something about superintendents. We can't turn it off sometimes. Like, we just talk shop 24/7. It drives my wife nuts even. It's because we want to always get better and we want to know, hey, what are you doing that maybe I could steal a little trick or a little, industry practice that I haven't thought of before. Matt was talking about it. I stole a few things from Vinny. He presented at the academy that I'd never seen before. And I like that. And I put those into play. So it's not a hierarchy thing that, I don't know everything. And, all of us know everything, but you put a group of people in there that are sharing their thoughts and their ideas and what they're doing differently. It's a powerful discussion. SRT and academy. I mean, it's the balance, isn't it, Ernie? It's like I love them both. It's the highlight of my year going to both of those because I think they both have the same dynamic of just getting that feedback from these guys of what they're doing differently.
Yeah, that connection. And by the way, I think Matt, because he is on site, probably got pulled out to go take care of something. So we'll get him back engaged in the conversation as soon as he resolves whatever's going on there. So you guys are, our top builders, taking care of our teams, managing multiple projects. So how do you balance that need to stay on schedule and maintaining that high quality? And Brian, you talked about how fast paced everything is now, and then weaving in safety. They're very dynamic. And then you put the money aspect to it. You guys don't have an easy job. What are some of the ways that you're able to balance those really four things: the cost, schedule, quality, and safety?
I think it gets back to what Ernie always says at the beginning of the academy, get out on deck. As a superintendent, you cannot be locked into that chair. And not only for your quality walks and your safety walks, but if these guys out in the field know that you're shoulder to shoulder with them and you're willing to do anything that you're asking them to do, you're willing to do that too. I'm telling you, I've pushed a broom before on floors recently because to me, it's like about getting done. It's about camaraderie. That just generates that collaboration and it generates that communication. Guys are more willing to come to you about a quality issue. I don't have eyes on everything. I can't have eyes on everything, But if I got subs and even laborers and other trade partners and their workers saying, hey, that doesn't look quite right. Maybe we should do something about that. Hey, whether it's on CMIC or tech, but I'm just old school. I just want people out there being an advocate for that job, and we all want to win. So if they win, we win. It's kind of always my philosophy. If they're got good margins and their safety is good and their quality good, we're going to be good. So it's really instilling that quality with that quality and safety culture early on with these guys, saying, hey, we're in it together. So I just really think that's the only thing that's going to help with the speed, because I can't do it. I can't do it all, right? And so we're going to go fast or we're going to go hard, but I can't do it by myself. And that's the thing that we got to tell you supers. You got to instill that culture early, so that now all of a sudden I got 300 guys behind me, or 100 guys, or, on a small fit up, maybe it's 20 guys. But if those guys are an advocate for the success of our job, I got an army behind me.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I think that's a great point. And the other thing I want to just highlight, you said, was you can't ever be afraid to step into any part of that job that you really need to contribute in and contribute to. So, Matt, it's good you took care of that big situation you had there on the job, and you're back able to help us. We're just talking about the balance of schedule, cost, safety, and quality. Maybe you can chime in there for a little bit.
Yeah, so I think that's a huge factor, and when we're building, right? You want to make sure that the actual building, the project, is up to our standards and the STO standards. So it's definitely incredibly important to walk to have regular meetings with the subs, and essentially they are your partners, right? You want them to be just as concerned and just as bought into getting this project done as efficiently and as effectively as possible. So I think it's very important that you treat everyone like it's a partnership during the project, right? It's not, I don't think we really look at it like they work for us and they have to answer to us. It's more of a collaborative effort for everyone to essentially get the job done, get in, get out, and everybody make a little bit of money, hopefully, on the job, right? So,
But I think that's a good point. I think if you know that your subs and your trades need to also be profitable so they can be here to help us with the next one and the next one, that's a great point. We can't beat our partners down to the point where they're not a viable company. Ernie, why don't you round us out on this complex schedule, quality, cost, and safety?
Yeah, well, it all starts with good communication, but the plan always has to include quality and safety, right? You're driving a schedule. To Brian's point, schedules are becoming more and more difficult. You have to plan that work with quality and safety in mind, because at the end of the day, we want everyone to be safe and deliver a good quality product at the end. It's important that we're not stacking our trades in a way that's not safe. And for that matter, not on top of one another, damaging the other guy's work who just finished in the same area. So, all good things start with communication, good communication, and a good plan, and then a good execution.
Yeah, well, you said it right there. Respecting each other's work is a huge, huge portion, because we've all seen when that breaks down, cleanup breaks down, safety breaks down, and it just becomes a big mess when respect has left the job. Ernie, I'm going to start with you on this one. What would you like everybody to know about the superintendent's role that may not be common knowledge to our owners, our designing partners and friends, the general public? What are those things that a super has to do that may not be really known?
Oh, I think in a word, it's the responsibilities. The responsibilities of the super, start and end every day on that job, in everything that's going on. His individual responsibilities and that of the trades. It's a tall order we ask of our people every day, that are down in the trenches. They're managing, not just the physical work, the mental work as well. You've got challenges with, insubordination and, a guy who, just may not be feeling good about himself that day. coming to work and taking it out on the rest of the group. So it's all of it. It's the psychology. It's the, parts and pieces to the puzzle that you're putting together. It's a lot. We put a lot on our supers, and every once in a while, everyone has to take a step back, I think, and just remember this guy's grinding it out every day for you.
Wow, that is super powerful, Ernie. I think you really summed it up. Not only do you have the responsibilities to getting that job done, but you have a lot of tradespeople, men and women, that you're responsible for personally. And we can't have a conversation like this without also mentioning, like you did, the mental health and how tough this industry is on people. Brian talked about the grind for our people, but it can also be a grind with the travel, the long hours, the dirty hard work. It's a difficult industry, and I love the fact that you take a minute to recognize that you got to take care of the people on your job.
Yeah, I mean, we're an industry now. I take myself back. I'm going to date myself a little bit, but when I started, there was a lot of guys coming out of Vietnam. Now we have a whole new group of veterans that are coming out of another war. And many of them are in this business with us. And I've heard the stories over the years. These guys carry these these things with them every day of their lives. And it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, thank you for saying that about our military. Brian, what would you add to, what are the things that people don't know about a superintendent's role?
I think as you move along your career, and this is probably a good message for Matt, right? The more experience you get, the more you own. I would never put it on a young guy and say you own everything on the job, because it's a little bit, that's a heavy lift. Maybe the project manager's a little bit more experienced than you, or maybe the project engineer's got a little bit more wisdom than you. But what I preach to my guys, eventually you'll get to a point on your career where you own everything. Everything is on you. Managing the client, managing the architect, managing the on-site staff, whether it's your partners or not. It gets into what Ernie says, knowing your people, managing those people, your foreman, your other superintendents, the schedule, quality, safety, everything is on your shoulders. Sometimes design, because you're getting design build aspects, right? And so now you got to be a good builder. You got to know how sticks and bricks go together. Hey, how can I solve this problem to keep this thing going? It's a lot of sleepless nights, right? Like Ernie said, the mental health is there and it's real. I mean, we're feeling it on this side right now on this project, and it's probably more than I felt in my 42 years right now. So it's a real deal. It makes you really think about what's this for. And you got to, once it hits you at that level, imagine what the guys down below are feeling. So you got to be in contact with those guys. You got to be able to say that I'm responsible for all this. So what do I got to design to put into play? You got to design conversations. You got to design, logistics and flow. There's so many things that you have to constantly be in design and change, because things are changing on a daily basis. So it's a lot. It's a lot for a superintendent. And then you got to hoorah everybody. Like, it doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter how you feel. I talk to superintendents all the time. They feel beat down. I'm like, okay, you can feel beat down and we can go out and we'll talk about it, but you can't let them guys see you sweat. So there's another pressure, right? I got to be the guy. You are the guy at the end of the day. And this goes to every superintendent out there. There's nobody else. You're the point of the spear. You're going into battle every day. You got to lead the charge. You got to tell these guys that we can do it. Because if you're long faced and you're feeling beat down, they're going to follow your lead. So there's a lot of masks you got to put on, even if you're feeling beat down. So there's another psychological thing that we got to deal with. So it is a brutal business that we're in, and with this role. So it's a no joke business. Not sure if it's getting any better, but at the end of the day, and me and Ernie talk about this, I love putting the strapping on the boots every day, regardless. Right? It's what I love. It's what I was bred for. It's what I do. Those are the superintendents that we're trying to, when we talk to Matt, putting that passion in them, going, hey man, you can braveheart anybody. Just get up there and go win the battle. Right? And so that's how I look at it. I think every day's a battle, whether it's personnel, schedule, quality, safety, rework. shit, we do rework too, right? I mean, this is a real conversation. This isn't fluff and stuff. This is the real world that we're talking about. So all that stuff lives in the world. It just does for us superintendents. And so it's a lot to carry. And so, yeah, kudos to the young guys coming up, man.
Brian, there's some really good points in there. I think, heavy is the head that wears the crown is a big one that you and Ernie preach about. The other one, just to touch on, is, people don't understand how maybe a construction job gets to the finish, but there's rework. And the source of that rework could be anything. It could be an owner request that came in that they have to have done. It could be a design issue. It could be us, and how we still have to be strong to get to the finish, and how demoralizing it can be to take the work out. But you got to stand back up the next day, put it back in place, and get done. And you can't lay down on it, like you said. You gotta be brave enough to get those boots on the next day, and we appreciate that out of the supers. Okay, we got one last question here, and Matt, I'm going to start with you. Knowing what you know about the academy and the superintendent roundtable, what is it that you'd like to see the roundtable tackle for you and your brothers and sisters in the superintendent world?
I would love for it to just permeate even further into the STOBG group, and for all that valuable information that you guys have given us when we've gone and when I went in Phoenix, just to be able to disseminate that information more so out to the other supers in the field throughout the country. I think you guys have given us such valuable skill sets and such valuable knowledge when we go and learn from you guys, that just, I think those skills and those pieces of advice that you guys have given us, to be able to have 5x, 10x the amount of supers that kind of soak up that information, they could bring it out with them in the field. I think that would be fantastic for our company and for the industry as a whole.
That's perfect. All right, same question for our godfathers here to round out the conversation today. You guys have really done some cool stuff and turned the SRT into, I'd say, a force, and it's a force within our company that is well respected, even up through the board level. Your efforts are well known. Ernie, Brian, what's next? Where are you going to take this?
Well, I think building off the foundation of principles of training, safety, and quality, I think we never leave that in the rear view. We constantly bring that to the forefront, and then harvest new ideas for improving the culture for superintendents in the company, both now and in the future. I think we've captured a lot of that with training. The call it the younger or less experienced folks. And that's proven to be very, very good. We just need more of that. And I think the dialogue that we have and the chemistry it's just gonna work. It's gonna prove itself out and keep going. So
thanks, Ernie. Brian?
Yeah, one of the things that we talked about in Toronto, we always have these initiatives, and we got a lot of initiatives going on right now, SRT, and we run with them. But I think our goals for 2026, what we're going to try to tackle is like onboarding and then employee retention at the superintendent level, right? So that's a big cost when we lose people. We want to make sure that guys like Matt, his whole entire career, he knows he's taken care of, and the culture of STOBG and all of our business units is intact, and these guys this is where they want to stay. We're always going to lose people to either retirement, or maybe they're chasing a bigger paycheck, or maybe their life takes them in a different direction. And those things we can't take care of. But if people are leaving because of a cultural issue, we got to fix that. If we're not onboarding people correctly to really integrate them, so that's a new word that Vinny's kind of throwing in there, instead of onboarding, integrating them into our culture and who we are. So we're going to be looking at those things, because I think those are powerful things. And Mark Serma brought some numbers of like, how much does this cost when we lose people? It's a big number. So there's the financial part of it, but there's also the heart of the matter of it. Like, why are these people, even engaging with a headhunter? What are we not hitting? Right? We never want to lose a guy like Matt and all the other, 900 95 other superintendents we got out in the stables there just grinding every day. So I think it's a big conversation. We don't know the answer yet, but we're going to dive into that and really make sure that these guys are, in for the long haul.
I think just sorry, Greg. One more thing to bring up. And this is a credit to Brian, his success recently with presentations. That's one of the things that we need to drill down into with the academy at this point, just to make these young folks feel more comfortable with presenting, albeit the first time or the fifth time, whatever it is. So I think presentation should be the next part of what we talk about for training with the academy as well.
That's perfect. So I want to close this up by saying thank you to Matt, Ernie, and Brian for giving me some time today to have a honest conversation. We certainly did get into some real world stuff. I want to express my appreciation for the Superintendent Corps within STOBG and those of our trades and all of them out there. I get it. It's hard to be away from your family. It's the unlocking the gate at 4:30 in the morning and being there till the last person's out. And I'll say I look forward to our big superintendent conference. It's going to be in Texas next year, and really get into it. Another wonderful initiative Brian and Ernie have brought to us to say, let's bring a bigger group together and really explore some tough stuff. So thank you guys, and appreciate you being part of this today.